Greetings and namaskara, everyone. This Himalayan Academy Publications presentation is by Satguru Bodhinath Velan Swami and is based upon the Publisher's Desk article in the January, February, March 2004 edition of our magazine, Hinduism Today, and is entitled, I Want to See God. The focus of many religions is on helping those who do not believe in God to believe in God. For them, belief in God is the beginning and the end of the process. Once you believe in God, there is nothing more to do. However, in Hinduism, belief is only the first step. Hindus want to move beyond just believing in God to experiencing God for themselves. There is a classic story from the life of Swami Vivekananda, one of Hinduism's most well-known modern teachers, that illustrates the Hindu perspective of experiencing God. When Vivekananda was still a university student, he asked many of the foremost religious leaders in the Calcutta area where he lived if they had seen God. However, he never got a clear and authoritative answer from any of them until he met Sri Ramakrishna. During his second meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, he asked the great sage, "Sir, have you seen God?" Calmly, Sri Ramakrishna replied, "Yes, I see him as clearly as one sees an apple in the palm of the hand, nay, even more intently. And not only this, you can also see him." This deeply impressed the young Vivekananda, who soon after accepted Sri Ramakrishna as his guru. Ramakrishna was taking the young seeker beyond belief in God and pointing toward direct experience of the divine. It is clear that the Hindu's belief in God is only a step toward the eventual experience of God. An important second point is that in Hinduism, the experience of God and the sense of complete God realization is the ultimate goal of life. It is an experience we will all eventually have when our soul has achieved sufficient spiritual maturity. It is the experience which liberates us from the need to be reborn on earth. It is, to the Hindu, everybody's goal. A great saint of North India, Anandamayi, stated the goal of God realization quite beautifully. Man is a human being only so much as he aspires to self-realization. This is what human birth is meant for. To realize the One is the supreme duty of every human being. In our own Guru Parampara, Satguru Yogaswami thundered a similar Mahavakya, Tannai Ari, know thyself. His disciple Markandeya Swami liked to stress that Yogaswami didn't give us 100 odd works to do, only one. Realize the self yourself, or know thyself, or find out who you are. Yogaswami said, you can't find the truth in 1,000 books or by listening to people talk. You must realize the self by yourself. This experience is called God realization or self-realization. Hinduism distinguishes between self with a small s, which is the ego, and self with a capital S, the soul. Self is the English rendering of the Sanskrit word Atma. In Western self-improvement terminology, self-realization refers to manifesting the full potential of your outer self. In Hinduism, the first step toward realizing the self is claiming one's identity as a spiritual being, a divine soul. The next step is realizing the soul's essence, which at the deepest level is also God's essence. So in experiencing our inmost nature, we also experience God. Though many individuals are inspired by the thought of seeing God, to most the experience seems distant and unattainable. This is because they think of jumping somehow from a 0% consciousness of God's presence to to 100% awareness of God's presence. This is where one's concept of enlightenment may be a barrier. That enlightenment is an instantaneous event coming out of nowhere, totally transforming us like a flash of lightning. It is more helpful to think of enlightenment as a gradual process, which involves increasing our control over our instinctive nature, directing our thoughts better, and expressing more and more of our innate divinity. Said another way, we do not need to wait for the total transforming and liberating experience of complete God realization to know God in simpler ways. This approach allows us to start seeing God now. Let's look now at 4 specific suggestions on where and how to first look for God. To experience God, do we sit on a mountaintop, enter a temple, go into a cave, or simply close our eyes? Where do we go to see God? Perhaps the easiest place to start is to see God in great religious teachers. We feel a spiritual aura about them that is uplifting. We see a light in their eyes that we do not see in others. The mere sound of their words encourages us to live a more spiritual life. This is certainly the easiest way to see God. Another way to see God, which is a little more difficult but still not that hard to do, is to look deeply into the eyes of another person. Look beyond the personality, deeper than the intellect, and see his or her pure life energy as God. The great saying or Mahavakya that describes this experience of the divine is the Tamil word Uyir Kuyir, which means God is the life of your life. This practice also includes seeing the life energy in trees, birds, and animals, in the lowly mushroom, and the life in the sea. God is our life. God is the life in all people. God is the life in the trees, in the birds, and in the animals. Becoming aware of this life energy in all that lives is becoming aware of God's presence within everyone and everything. A beautiful verse from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad elucidates this concept. He who knows God is the life of life, the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, he indeed comprehends fully the cause of all causes. In Hindu culture, every time we greet another person with the traditional gesture of namaskar, we have the opportunity to practice looking deeply enough into his or her eyes to see God as the life of their life. In doing so, we fulfill the deepest meaning of namaskar, which means I greet God in you. A third place to look for God is in the Hindu temple. This is the devotional or theistic approach. The Hindu temple is not simply a place to socialize or listen to lectures on Hinduism. It is a sacred place, built and maintained in such a way that we can go there and experience the divine. Invoked by ordained priests through daily puja rituals, the gods and angelic beings, or devas, in the inner spiritual worlds are able to bless us through the deity's enshrined image. The image is like a temporary physical body that the god utilizes during the temple ceremonies. Though one may have a rare mystic vision of God, the usual way we experience the gods and devas is as an uplifting, peaceful, divine energy radiating out from the image. It is easiest to feel these blessings or Shakti at the peak of the puja when the flame is held high. The God's blessings are most strongly felt on their major festival days, such as Vinayaka Chaturthi for Lord Ganesha. A fourth place to look for God is within ourselves through the practice of meditation. Meditation is internal worship, going deeply enough into ourselves to find that part of us that is identical with God. At first we experience God as peaceful and blissful feelings, later as a brilliant clear white light, later still as a consciousness that permeates all, and finally as transcendent reality, which is timeless, formless, and spaceless. The key to deepening our experience of God is the regular practice of spiritual disciplines. And it is fair to say that no other religion contains such a vast range of spiritual practices, from such fundamental virtues as non-injury and purity to temple worship, advanced yoga practices, and meditation. As an example of this diversity, the listing in the graphic shows 11 types of yoga from the book Yoga, Union with Reality by Swami Ramakrishnananda. Even though God pervades us and the entire universe, in the beginning stages we don't see him. This is because he has intentionally hidden himself from us, allowing us freedom to grow and learn through experience and eventually strive to find the self within. This is called his veiling grace. Once we awaken to a certain stage and yearn with all our heart to see and know God, we can do so by seeing him in great religious teachers, in the eyes of other people, and by seeing him as the life of the life within all that lives. In the temple, we can experience God's peaceful energy or Shakti, and within ourselves, we can come to know God through the fine art of meditation. Through all these joyous spiritual practices of Hinduism, we can become more and more aware of God's presence within us and in the entire cosmos around us. But be patient. This is a gradual process. It takes practice, lifetimes of practice. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.